Welcome to Proud Veteran Outreach, our weekly TV show to help support military veterans, where we ask you, the civilian, to help us identify the lost or isolated vet. We ask for your help because there is a transition problem for military vets re-entering civilian life, and that transition may settle into stress, leading to a high rate of suicide, where veterans are committing suicide at 23 a day, and to homelessness. 25% of all of the homeless people out there are military related, and the veteran is suffering in pain on a daily basis. 45% of all military veterans are experiencing pain every day. So we need your help in identifying the veteran who may be living down the hall in your apartment building, or you may see occasionally at church, or even see on the street begging. We want you to be comfortable approaching them and bringing them to the support services that are available. So our show is brought to you by the Vet Centers of Minnesota, with locations in Brooklyn Park, St. Paul, and Duluth. So if you have a vet that you know, you can simply refer them to the Vet Center and we can give them services. Or you can just take them to a local American or VFW Legion post, and the services can be shared there. So today we have a specialist, Paul Ruffin. Paul, thank you for coming in. Paul is a veteran, and he has a program that we're calling Welcome Home Vets. And it's a very interesting program, so I'm going to ask Paul if he will please identify your military service, and then we'll talk about your initiative.
Well, actually, you would probably consider me a civilian. My father was a three-war veteran. I was the eldest son, so during the Vietnam conflict, when I tried to join, I wasn't able to because he was still active duty. I was then recruited by the State Department and functioned as consulate pro tem for the Republic of Sierra Leone for a little while. So I acted in the State Department, and you might say I retired from that position a number of years ago, and made my relocation from California to Minnesota.
And so why do you have this passion for military support?
Because of what my father stood for and what he did, and the principles that he taught me, and the reason that he went through 3 wars, even though there were a number of people that still hated him. He believed in something. He believed in America. And I have that same passion.
So he experienced the Vietnam abuse that
yes, he sure did.
That the people of that era did. So this is actually why the Vet Centers got started, because it was the Vietnam era people that didn't have the support. So several of the local Vietnam veterans created their own support network, which is today the Vet Centers.
That's right.
And the Vet Center has 300 locations around the country. So it's a successful organization, government supported. So there's legitimate help out there.
Yes, there
So let's talk about the transition problems. Why are there transition problems? Why aren't vets happy to be out of the service and happy to be among civilians?
Well, we are happy, and they are happy to get out, some of them. But the primary issue is that you've been living in a constructed, very well ordered lifestyle, being told when to eat, when to sleep. You know, you knew exactly what you had to do, and there were no questions. There were only procedures and standards. And now, in transitioning back to the world, you have people that were in the military. I mean, you didn't have to keep a checkbook. You really didn't have to worry about, you know, a lot of that stuff. Now you've got to keep a checkbook. Now you've got to go out and try to get a job. In the military, you were employed. Now you have to go find a job. You know, and there's just skill sets that need to be, I should say, transferred or understood, that need to be developed in some of the transition. Like a lot of military or young people when they're moving into the military, they really don't have a plan as to what they're going to do when they get out. I've been graced with knowing a few and very good friends, Lucas Lenert, who's another member of our Welcome Home Vets Initiative. He had a plan when he was going in. Same thing with Tim's son. They had plans, and so they understood, they were able to take advantage of the transition and be successful in transitioning out. A lot of young people don't have those kind of plans.
Okay, so let me ask you more. So whose brainchild is this? Is this yours and Tim's? Who came up with the idea?
Well, it was a combination of both Tim and myself. We met at a meeting that you had actually invited us to, and the next thing you know, we were talking for the next 3 hours, just about the issue of transitioning veterans, transitioning not just from the military, but transitioning to, and the quality of life that comes from a veteran community. The life that, I lived in that community all my life as a young man and as a young child. I was surrounded by military, and there's a different attitude, and when it comes to people and things. And so so we just hit it off, and because of what I've been doing as Executive Vice President for Global Business Incubation, we began to discuss how we would take what has been demonstrated in the area of Hutchinson, to the rest of Minnesota.
Okay, so let's talk about it. So we're referring to Tim. Tim's not here.
Yes.
We're referring to Tim Burley, who is now the PR director for the state of Minnesota for the American Legions. And because he's in that position, you are able to make this initiative as part of the American Legion. But more importantly, you are also addressing initially the outstate American Legions rather than the urban American Legions, because Hutchinson being a few hours away, they have a unique relationship with the military and the community. Can you identify the uniqueness of that community there? It's pretty impressive.
Well, the uniqueness is, from my perspective, is the town and people of Hutchinson understand what it means to invest in human capital, versus land and infrastructure. And they made a very smart investment in veteran infrastructure. And because of that, they've got quality people, they've got good communities, and they've got an economic development program that literally my little city of Monticello, I had my city administrator actually tell me, we've been in touch with Hutchinson to copy what they're doing so we can do it up here. And we're going, well, here's how it's done. As I say, the one piece that my functionality is, and the reason Tim and I hit it on so well is because Tim has been approaching it from the military perspective, and I bring the civilian perspective.
Okay, so let's go back to the transition issue. So there is a separation, a generation gap between the legacy baby boomer veterans and the returning millennial Gen Z veterans.
Oh, yeah.
And they haven't felt, the Gen Z millennial veterans haven't felt comfortable going to the American Legion post because they just don't want to hang around with old guys who are sitting at the bar, right? This is the image and the impression that American Legions have. And so the city of Hutchinson, or the American Legion in Hutchinson, actually took out the food and the bar, and the membership into the American Legion increased.
Yes.
So the bonding has worked. So your initiative is again outstate. Not needing food and drink to have relationships, and engaged with the community. So,
well, we know that based on new technology, people are more engaged. One of the things that the American Legion in Hutchinson did was they began to engage. And that's really the simple answer for most allegiance, you know, and for most people is you engage each other, you know, and you're with concern and passion. They are probably one of the most strongest. Even when I call California and I talk with organizations all throughout the country, other legions, other disabled American vets and other groups, when I talk about the membership that Hutch has, they're impressed because they took the time to go and outreach and find the missing vet and engage, you know, the civilian population. You know, let us know because we're here, and that's what Welcome Home Vets is all about. You let us know because we're here, you know, and we're more than just an organization. We're an initiative.
Okay,
you know.
so let's talk about how you're getting the message out. How do
Okay.
how do people know that you exist?
Well, because I don't want to say it's in such a new infancy because if you really look from a national perspective, there are a lot of Welcome Home Vet programs that are going on. One of the big issues with a lot of programs that happen is that people come up with good ideas, but the silos get built and no one knows that the other exists, and so resources can't get shared. We've developed a system here in the state of Minnesota so that that doesn't happen. And we're prospering from it now, and we're beginning to move. We have scheduled 2 events coming up. One of them is Saluting Community Heroes, which is the fundraising event, and will help to fundraise for our Welcome Home Vets initiative. And then
And when is that going to be?
that'll be I know that you can go to salutingcommunityheroes.org.
Okay.
And it's either, I think it's in November.
And what city will it be?
That'll be in Hutchinson.
Okay.
But the big event that we're bringing, this will be the 2nd year that we're having our Minnesota Veterans Business Summit.
Okay.
And that'll be hosted in Monticello, September 28th.
Okay.
And the issue that we're bringing to bear at that summit is veteran transition. And
Okay, so let's talk about the transition. You've had a couple of vets that have engaged with you.
Yes.
And some of their behavior has not been in line with peacefulness.
No.
So tell us that story and what are the repercussions of that kind of disruption?
Well, you know, one of the problems with transitioning is the bureaucracies that exist and things that come up that can bring about a level of stress. And
The bureaucracy in the vet organizations
in
or
the veteran
in
organizations,
or in the civilian life?
civilian life, veteran,
All
all
of
of the
it.
above.
Okay.
I mean, all of a sudden now it's like they're waiting for a check that should have been cut 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
And you know, and they're tensing up, you know, and with the number of things that keep failing.
And that tension leads to suicides.
That tension leads to suicide. One fact that I do want to make, and this came out in the summit that we did in Los Angeles last year. When it comes to women's suicides, the largest majority of women's suicides are veterans. Interesting enough.
Interesting.
You know, and when you look at the stats of the number of women, the percentages of women that come out of Minnesota that join the service, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, we hold the national average. We beat the national average of entry. You know, so we have to take care of our people. I mean, these are our brothers and sisters that, you know, were willing to put their lives on the line. And you know, some of them are coming back, you know, hurting, and need, you know, the kind of attention that we should give them, you know, with proper time, materials, and money.
Okay, good. So we only have a few seconds left now. So your organization's only 6 months old?
Only 6 months old.
And so you're making a good impression. So
Yes.
thank you very much. The public out there is available to you. Your website has been put online, so Thank you very much,
Yes,
Paul. I
sir.
appreciate it.
All
Thank
right,
you
sir.
for coming and sharing your story, and
was a
welcome home
pleasure.
vets.
It's an honor working with you, sir.
Thank you.